Well, today it's snowing ponies. 265 Mustangs. As you can see, it's got a fair amount of snow stacked up. We've got some digging to do, but we're gonna save these little ponies and do something with them.
Go to your right. Keep going to the right a little bit. Just put the ramps underneath the rear wheels and drive them up on it. Right?
Yeah. Perfect. That's like actually hold there right in.
That good?
Yeah.
Bring this strap. Chunked it off and then broke it over. Roll it out of there.
Just barely going. And this is our 65 Mustang that we just picked up, dug it out of the snow. Really good shape. Somebody's already done a lot of work, so a lot of the metal work's already done. The floor pans have been replaced, so we don't got to do any of that stuff, which is nice. I think we need to do some more welding. It's not quite finished welded, so we got to do some welding in there. A real solid car. The bottom of the doors are good. It's got a little bit of rust here. We're gonna have to cut that out. And I don't know what's up with these Mustangs. I got a 66 as well, and there's supposed to be a spring in there. Mine's missing them. This one's missing them. Must be fairly common. The rear quarter, it's been replaced. We got to do a little fitting, make sure things line up right. The previous guy actually did a pretty good job. Just gonna clean it up a little bit. Real solid car though. I don't know what happened there. It's got a little wild. So we're gonna have to cut that out of the parts car. And this was originally a 6-cylinder automatic car. We're going to do a 302 C4, and we're going to change the rear end. We're going to probably throw a 8-inch in it that we got sitting around. We're going to blast, not the entire car, but we'll do the engine compartment, door jambs, you know, window, track, and stuff like that. A little bit underneath, but real solid car, minimal rust. Look here, we have to cut this out. A little bit of rust there. Well, if we come over here, we got the parts car. This is the donor. This got all the interior glass, different windshield. I mean, it's got a windshield, but it's cracked. You can see, there. But pretty complete interior. It's got a really nice headliner, so that's cool. It's vinyl, which I don't know that I've ever seen a vinyl headliner in a Mustang, but we got one. B&M shifter. Front seats are gonna need recovered. Rear seats probably just need cleaned up. We'll have to get a carpet. Looks like door panels are actually, they're not great, but they're not bad. We might use them. We got the 5-lug stuff on this car, so we'll probably pull this rear end. We'll pull the front end off, and we'll get that stuff stuck on the other car. But this car's pretty roached. It's not worth saving. It's pretty rusty. But we got a lot of the trim parts that we need to finish this car. So we'll steal all that stuff off of this guy. We'll part it out as complete as possible. Had all kinds of stuff in the trunk. Purple. It's crazy, kind of odd color for blue, purple, blue, purple, blue, blue, purple. Weird. Red. It's got hood hinges and random stuff. Cross members, door hinges. Interior quarter panels for the back. But I don't feel bad cutting this one up. It's definitely not in the best shape, as you can see. Yeah, daylight. Yep. She's pretty rusty. But this is a perfect donor car for what we're doing here. So, we're gonna wait for it to warm up just a tad, and we're gonna get busy blasting. It's after hours, and we got some welding to do. First, let's give you a little walk around. We got the blasting done on the Bronco, and what we're gonna do for the Mustang. We didn't get too carried away on the Mustang. It's pretty clean, so I'll take you around and kind of show you what we're working on. So today we're gonna start welding up what the previous owner didn't finish. As you can see, we got to weld all this in. We got to clean up some of that, and we got some panel fitment issues. So if you get this body line to line up, it's not lining up here very well, you can see. So we're gonna have to cut out some of their welds and straighten that out. And if you look inside, you know, all the floor pans have been replaced. They did really actually a pretty good job with it. So we're not gonna do much of that. We'll just kind of clean up some stuff, get it ready, get it prepped for some paint. So not too much work on the inside, which is nice. And then the lower corners of the doors rotted, so we're gonna have to cut that out, replace that. And everything up front's pretty nice. The shock towers are pretty good. We didn't get too crazy, like I said. Just kind of blasted it clean and give it a nice etch so we could just wash it down and do a slight scuff on it, get it ready to go. The body itself doesn't have much paint on it, so we're just gonna sand that down to where we want it. Start straightening it out. We gotta fix a few things like this. You can see that that isn't lined up very well, so we're gonna have to cut that weld out, get that to push in. Try to make this thing as nice as possible. Obviously we got to cut that out and repair that, which we'll cut that out of the parts car and fill that in. This side, more of the same. Just got to weld that seam up, and they did cut the drip rail off, so we're gonna have to go through and stitch weld that all up, get it smoothed out nice, and see how that goes. They did pretty good over here at the bottom, but you can see when this is lined up there, we got a pretty substantial mismatch there, so we're gonna have to fit that up a little bit better. And again, bottom of the door, it's got some holage, so we're gonna have to cut that out, replace all that. No big deal. But yeah, everything else is pretty good. Underside of the car is pretty clean. I think we got to do some welding under here. Let's check it out. I mean, they did weld these in pretty decent, but we're gonna put some more welds in there just to make ourselves happy. And it looks like we got a little gap there. So we got to kind of fix that up a little bit. But overall, they did a pretty good job. But we need to clean it up, finish it up, and prep it for paint. And I think we'll just get an undercoat at the bottom of the car, probably a truck bed liner or something. Keep it simple. Stuff's easy to use. Works good. Lasts a long time. But yeah, so that's that. I guess I give you an update on the Bronco. We got the blasting done on it. So she's all blasted up, and obviously we got a lot of metal work to do on this guy. Rear quarters, obviously, and then the inner with stuff. We're just gonna slap some up there just to see how it's gonna fit. Looks like it's gonna fit pretty good. We still got a little rust we got to cut out of it, but we made pretty good progress. I made it cleaned up pretty nice. She blasted pretty good. Definitely unearthed some stuff. You can see this panel's shot, so we're gonna be patching that in. And like I said, there's a few random spots that we're gonna have to redo, but nothing too crazy. I mean, it's Bronco. They rust. Pretty common. So the good thing is they make all these pieces, reproduction parts. They're pretty inexpensive, very available. Got a whole stack of them right there. All those are, for this guy. So we'll get those fitted up. Yeah. So for now, let's get welding on the Mustang. We soda blasted it, so we got to clean it up a little bit. The one thing with the soda, we're gonna clean this up. One thing with the soda is you have to neutralize it. It leaves a film on the metal, which is kind of cool because after you blast stuff bare, you can leave it outside. It can get rain down and stuff. It's not gonna rust for quite some time. But the problem with that is that film does not allow the paint to stick very well. So literally, if you just cleaned it up, sanded it down, whatever, and painted it, in a year or two, the paint's probably gonna fall off it. So you have to neutralize it. By doing so, you do like a vinegar water mix, spray it down, let it soak, wash it off, and you're good to go. So, but once you do that, it will rust. It will flash rust almost instantly, just like normal bare metal will. But anyways, enough of that for now. First, we're gonna start off with cleaning this up. It's always good practice to clean up the metal. Makes welding a lot easier and cleaner. So I'm gonna hit it with the old wire wheel and get to it. using a wire feed with gas, just a 75-25 mix with O3O wire. We're a sheet metal shop by trade. I do a lot of welding on the thinner stuff, and we find the O3O works pretty good. You could step down to the O23. It's a little easier on the thinner material, but the O3O gets you by just fine. And when you do this, you don't want to just start here and just across, because you're going to warp stuff. It's going to get all wild. So you got to, kind of tack stuff, move your heat around. That way you don't overheat your work area, create warping and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so we've discovered there's still some old leading in there from the previous panel, which I didn't actually see until we got some heat in there. So we're going to see about cleaning that out of there, and it's going to make life a little easier. Okay, so we got the rust cut out of the door, and I'm going to show you just something we do, or I like to do. You got to realize these cars are old. They've been sitting around for a long time. They collect moisture. I mean, moisture runs down in these doors, right? And if you look down in there, look at that. So you see a bunch of, rust, corrosion, dirt, debris, all kinds of good stuff. So it's what I like to do is I like to get something down in that seam and, you know, clean it out as best you can, come back in here with the air hose, blow it out, and then put in a product to treat the rust. We're using this. This is the first time I've used it. It's Evapo Rust. Supposedly does good stuff, but use anything. There's tons of different products out there. You're here, right? We're preserving these cars when we work on them. So you want to prevent future rusts. One thing I can tell you is if you're in here patching metal like this, is 10 years down the road, you're not going to be sitting there saying, dang, I wish I would have done some treatment on that, because now my patch panel, or around my patch panel, is beginning to rust out. You won't have that regret, right? You will if you don't, but just do it. Takes a couple extra minutes. I'll show you the other side. I already got it, it's cut out as well, and I already did the treatment. You can see the looks quite a bit different. So you basically just get in there, clean up as much scale as possible, get it as clean as possible, and just pour that stuff down in the door. You can't really see it all too well, but I poured it down in there and brushed it all over the place. And so it's down in that seam now, treating that surface, right? So that's going to make this car rust-free much longer than if you did not. From the factory, there's a lot of bare metal in the interior of these cars. They didn't coat them; it's just bare metal. And we got our first layer of what I use fiberglass reinforced kind of body filler. It's a little tougher, and you know, I just like to use it. I know we got a seam here and a seam here. It is fully welded, but I have a 66 that these panels were just spot welded together, and I filled it in with basically just Bondo, and it is cracking out. I mean, it's 15 years later, and it's getting to crack out. So I'm gonna have to do this to it. I'm gonna have to, you know, clean it all out, weld it completely, and redo it. So instead of leaving this seam, we went ahead and welded this seam up on both sides. So it's gonna be seamless here now. Just one more area that, you know, these seams, the sealer will crack eventually. You're gonna get moisture in there. They're gonna, you know, it's gonna rust out. So you're here, might as well weld it up. It's not that big a deal. Just do it, get it over with. You'll be happier down the road. Okay, so we got our patch panels fabbed up. It's just 20 gauge galvanized. Like I said, we're a sheet metal shop by trade, so we got lots of this around. And you scuff up galvanized good and coat it. Paint sticks to it just fine. Works just fine. But you can see I bent the ends in and everything, so you just stick that guy in there, line it up. We'll tack her in there, and that'll be that. Okay, so we're working away on the drip rail. Got the surface all prepped. Looks like somebody, I don't know what was going on here. Somebody got in here and did something. So, guys, one thing you got to remember: these cars are old. They've been around for a while. You never know what you're gonna unearth. But we're gonna get in here. We're gonna, you know, fix this stuff, and then we're gonna start tacking this guy. And we got it pretty much fitted up, ground down, and cleaned up, and pretty ready to go. So first, we're gonna weld in all this stuff and get it ground down, cleaned up, and then we'll start fitting that thing and start tacking her in there. So we're plugging along, getting this thing prepped up. And we found some stuff. I didn't notice it, but there was no holes here for the door handles. And it didn't really occur to me, but it looks like they were indeed shaving this car at one point. They did not do great work, but they were trying to give it a nice clean shaved look. But we are not doing that. So I'm gonna have to cut this out, weld this in. We got our drip molding rail, whatever you want to call it, all tacked up on there. It's quite the process. It took us a while, but we got there. And we discovered this tail panel was a little more beat up than it appeared. So we stripped it clean. Got us new patch piece in there. And again, got this drip rail all ready to go. And here, again, you can see some, I don't even know what you want to call that. A mess. That's what we're going to call that. That's a mess. So we're going to cut that out. We're going to use, we got a couple extra doors around, so we'll just cut out a patch panel out of the doors and weld it in. So like most old cars, you never know what you're going to find. Every time you dig around in them, you're going to find more stuff, it seems. We're getting this all cleaned up. Still got a ways to go on it, but we're getting there. Core support, it's fully welded in, ground down. Just got to clean it up, get it ready for paint. But yeah, moving forward pretty good. Okay, so we got this one cut in. It's pretty easy. You know, you just mark it out, cut it. That's what we did is we measured a 1/2 inch. You know, 1/2 inch off this body line, 1/2 inch off this corner. That's where we squared up. Then I just kind of drew these in, cut out of the other car, made a mark, set it, Sharpied around it, cut it out, and fit in pretty nice. And we're going to, we got this other one set up. So it's pretty simple. Got it marked out already. So we're going to cut it and then we'll fit it. And you always want to make sure, you know, cut inside your line because you can open it up a little bit. So you don't want too big a gap. So let's cut this out. Okay, got us a nice fit, and we'll be able to weld this in pretty quick. So we're going to do wire wheel the patch piece, get it clean, and wire wheel around the door where we're welding, and we'll weld this bad boy in. One pony going to a new owner. Okay, so we're getting ready to pull this 302 out of this guy. Picked this up a few years ago. Been kind of packing around for a while. It's a 77 Mustang 2. It's got a 9-inch under it. The 302 that's in it looks to be a fresh reman rebuilder, but it's a pretty clean little car. And somehow I've gotten attached to it. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it for sure. I keep packing around, keep thinking maybe getting rid of it. I almost hauled it to the scrapyard a couple times. It's a pretty solid car. The only issue with it is it has no title, which really a guy could probably get a title for it. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we end up doing. Let me know. What do you think? Should we save it? You know, we could put a small block Ford 4-speed, make it, you know, pretty fun to drive. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, this is why we got it in the shop today. We're yanking this motor out. This is what appears to be a fresh reman. You can tell it's a reman by that right there. It's got the little, if I overheat, I'm falling off thing. And I know it runs. I've had it running, and I know that the install was not complete via finding out the hard way. I took it for a little cruise, got on a little bit, and there was no motor, there was no bolt in the motor mount, so the motor flexed. Fan went into the radiator, took out the radiator, took out the fan, made a big old mess. But it runs good. The only issue with it is that it's got a weird vibration, which I think is from the transmission. So we're gonna research that, but this is gonna be the heart of the 65 pony that we've been working on. Well, there went that distributor cap. Those things will happen. Okay, well there it is. We'll dig into it a little bit. I am a little curious. This is a newer model, 302. It does have the 50-ounce balancers. That's one thing I was looking into when I was kind of determining what the vibration was coming from. So we're probably gonna pop the valve covers off, maybe even take the intake out, see if it's got a roller cam, figure out you know, a little bit more of what we got going on here. Well, we've wrapped up the metal work. Got everything cleaned up, welded in, ground down. Got the floor patched, crawled around. So somebody else put the floor pan in, so I went around and did a bunch of welding underneath and inside just to make sure it was up to snuff. There's quite a bit of stuff. Got the drip rails all in. Door handle holes patched in, done. Still got quite a bit of stuff to do, but you know, it's getting in late afternoon Sunday, and we've been working on it all weekend, so we're going to call it a weekend, and we'll start commencing on body work tomorrow throughout the week and see where we end up. These turned out good. They turned out good. Yeah, we got all the little holes that had the trim originally on it. We got them all welded in. The drip rail. Wow. Looking pretty good. Came quite a ways. Oh yeah, we went through and tacked. There was only a couple tacks in the wheel well, so we went through and cleaned that all up. Put in a patch piece there. We're still gonna clean these up, wire wheel them out. We're not gonna undercoat. We're gonna use truck bed liner. Kind of like that stuff. So we'll clean everything up. We have knocked all the seam seal, all the original seam seal out of this car. That stuff is definitely was done. It was cracked and no good. So we're gonna seam seal everything, inside out, underneath, just to make sure she ready for the elements. I mean, this thing's gonna probably live its life in Alaska still. It's got to be as cleaned up and sealed up as possible, and every little bit of rust we could attack, we're going to. Granted, there's not much left, so most of it's all cut out. So yeah, so this will pretty much wrap up this deal, and then like I said, we'll plug along through the week and get this body ready for paint, and maybe we'll be painting it next weekend or this week. Hard to tell. See how it goes. So now we're on to body work. So we're gonna start doing that. We already started. We're gonna be doing a lot of DA-ing, a little bit of flap wheeling, a little bit of dollying. As you can see, we already got started. We had a couple dingers up here, so what I like to do is kind of get it down to basically bare metal. Then I hit it with the a flap wheel. I don't know what this guy here works pretty good. It's quicker, and it gives it a nice etch, so you'll be able to, I mean, mono or whatever you use is not going to fall off that, right? So we're gonna fill in this seam, get a coat on here and here, another coat on there, and we'll recoat this guy and this guy. So that's what we're going for tonight. So we're using for the base, we're using the fiberglass reinforced filler, just because it's a little tougher. It doesn't sand as easy though, so we'll top it off with some actual body filler. Just using some cardboard. I've been doing body work. I'm not a professional by any means, but I've been doing it off and on for a long time, and you would think I gotta get pretty good at this. Yeah, these work. That's what I got. Not great at applying the stuff, which is kind of a bummer because it makes it a little more work. I've tried several different techniques. I'm not terrible at it, but you can do a better job than I do, that's for sure. So we're gonna mix up some filler and get to applying and moving forward with some sanding. Okay, we got some fiberglass reinforced filler spread around. As you can see, The application is not perfect, but it'll be fine. The smoother you make the application, the less work you have come sanding. So you want to try to make it as smooth as possible. And there's different ways. You could mix this stuff hot, so you could get right on sanding it. But we're gonna call it a night, so we're gonna let this stuff set up, and this is gonna give us a fair amount of stuff to work on tomorrow night. So we'll start sanding on this stuff and coating some other areas, and so you know, we'll do it in stages. We're not in a huge rush, but we do want to try to get this thing painted this weekend. So we want to get the body work knocked out, and we got to build a booth, which is kind of cool. This is our welding area, so I'll get rid of that table and stuff, and then we'll drop plastic off of that. Plastic the floor, plastic all 4 walls. Bam! Got a makeshift paint booth with an exhaust fan. Actually works pretty good. So that'll be coming up. Like I said, we're gonna try to get to it this weekend. We'll see. But we're making pretty decent progress. I mean, we've dang near touched every part of this car so far. We still got a long ways to go. We need to do all the seam sealing, inside, out, trunk, you know, everywhere, and obviously, you know, copious amounts of body work. So we're gonna be getting really well familiarized with this guy. These guys, we're gonna use a bunch of that. This guy, he's gonna be bored laying on the floor, you know, rolling in the dust. And we do have an air-powered version of those too, which works very good. But a couple days later, lots of sanding. We've made some pretty good progress with the snow pony. I'll give you a shot here. We got some stuff to finish up yet. We got to do some little bit of blocking and a little bit of high build primer in a few areas yet, but we're making pretty good progress. So we took, I'll show you this product, this stuff, Coro Seal. And the reason why we went with this is we live in Alaska, so shipping stuff up here, you got to ship non-corrosive stuff. This is a water-based product. Actually seems to work pretty good. First time I've used it, but this is what it looks like. And then we went ahead and brushed it on most everywhere. All the seams we treated and then seam sealed. We're going to take some of that. Mustangs are kind of notorious for this cowling to rot out. This one's not rotted, but we're gonna pour that stuff in there. We're gonna take the hose, blow that around, make sure it seals up real good. That's gonna do 2 things. It's gonna be a rust preventative sealer, and any loose debris that are in there are gonna be stuck in there. So when we come to paint, we're not gonna have, you know, things flying up out of there. So we're gonna do that real quick, and we're gonna finish up a few parts. You can see the roof. We had to do some work on the roof, which we got it straightened out really nice. The body work's turning out really good. Stuff is nice and smooth. What else do we gotta do? We still gotta seam seal the drip rail. We seam sealed the inside of the drip rail and the body seams. So we got most of the seam seal in. We just got to do the drip rail, but we're making pretty good progress. So today, this thing is going to be a different color. We're going to get this painted today. So a little bit of work left in the engine bay. I mean, we did a quick scrub on her, but we still need to do more. And we need to turn that into our paint booth, which we have a box of plastic and some goods. That's gonna be our paint booth. We'll show you that as we set it up. It's a pretty easy setup. Works really good actually. So you guys might be impressed. Maybe not, but booth's up. Car's in there. Who said old small block Ford heads were no good? Stockers. Perfect fit for us. This is what we got going on. Bam, paint booth. Certainly not perfect, but it works pretty good. The guy could do filters and stuff, you know, for the air coming in, but My theory is the plastic's pretty staticky, so it will collect some of the dust. And the main thing is to keep the paint contained in here and not all over the whole shop, because you know how that goes. Overspray gets literally everywhere. So the bodywork turned out really good. We're gonna give it a wipe down with Prep-Sol, and then we'll cloth it. It is getting kind of late. 10:16. Sunday afternoon, evening, night, whatever you want to call it. Here we go.